The continuation of the Lumberjacks and the Logs battle continues into the third and final part inside of the Log Launcher's origin story. If you haven't yet seen part 1 or 2 of this story, I strongly recommend you check that out first. I will have it linked down below in the description or by clicking the I in the top right. So for a long time now, the Log and the Lumberjack have been battling it out inside of the Clash Royale arenas. The Lumberjack and the Log, both being legendary cards, were used a lot, and so there was never a time where they both left the Clash Royale arenas at the same time. And if you remember from the last video, troops cannot fully die inside of Clash Royale arenas as they are protected by the King and the Wizard's magic, so any time that a troop is taken out inside of the arena, they are just brought back to life a few seconds later. Whereas if troops were to be taken out when they aren't inside of the arena, there is no spell to bring them back to life. And so the Log had been waiting for over a year for a chance to get revenge on the Lumberjack, but every time he had a day off, the Lumberjack would be stuck battling away in the arena all day. And every time the Lumberjack had a day off, the Log would be stuck battling all day. And so for a very long time, the Log wasn't able to get his revenge on the Lumberjack. In fact, he almost forgot about why he was even mad at him in the first place. But then one day, the Clash Royale King made a big announcement. He said that their friends over at the Clash of Clans village had invited them over to celebrate Clashmas with them. This was the first time in forever that this was happening, and all of the troops were super excited to see their friends in the Clash of Clans village. But for the Log, he was excited for another reason. The Log saw this as an opportunity to finally get the Lumberjack back for what he did to the entire forest. And so when Clashmas finally came, the Log, the Lumberjack, and all the other troops made their way to the Clash of Clans village. The Log realized that he wasn't going to get another opportunity like this for a very long time, and so he needed to wait for the right opportunity. And so he bided his time. And when all the Clash troops got to the Clash of Clans village finally, they all spread out and went their own ways to go meet up with troops and just kind of catch up with all the long lost friends. This was the time that the Log was waiting for. The Log looked for the Lumberjack. He spotted him all alone in the middle of some buildings, and so he rolled over to him. The Lumberjack didn't see him coming, and so the Log rolled straight over him. And then he backed up and rolled over him again and again. He didn't stop until the giant stopped the Log by picking it up and throwing it across the base to save the Lumberjack. The Log ended up hitting the Clashmas tree and got tangled up inside of the lights and the decorations. Luckily, the giant had come at the perfect time for the Lumberjack, as he had just barely saved the Lumberjack's life by a sliver of a health. The Lumberjack stood up, very distraught from what just happened and a little bit confused once again, and he headed over to the Log, who was all tied up by the Clashmas lights. The Log was getting a bunch of attention from all the other troops as they were starting to call things like Logmas and how the Log looked even better than the old Clashmas tree was. The Log was getting hyped up by all of these troops, and to be honest, he was starting to like it, and he almost completely forgot about the fact that he was trying to kill the Lumberjack. But while he was in the midst of all of his fame that he was getting, he decided to just ignore it, and since he was tied up anyways, there wasn't a lot that he could do. Plus, the Log was really starting to like the sounds of the whole Logmas idea. So anyways, while the Lumberjack was still trying to figure out what was happening, he was still super mad at the fact that he just got run over by the Log multiple times, and since he couldn't do anything, since the Log was in the middle of the base being applauded by all these troops, the Lumberjack went to go blow off some steam by chopping some wood, and so he did. But as soon as he took his first swing at the trunk, the Log looked over at the Lumberjack with a look of absolute anger on his face. But thankfully for the Lumberjack, the Log couldn't get out of all of his binds, and he was stuck behind all of those Christmas lights. But the Lumberjack was starting to cause problems, and all of the troops, now who really liked the Log, and were calling it Logmas and everything, asked the Lumberjack to leave. And so the Lumberjack did because, for one, he didn't want to get killed by the Log again. And so he left back to go visit his dad for the Clashmas holidays. And so after a little bit, and after the Lumberjack was long gone, the Logmas tree, or the Log, was let out of its binds, and he was just left to go explore the place. The builder who had overseen everything happen and had seen the Log before was really curious as to all of these magical powers and how a regular tree just came to life like that. And so he went over to go try and talk to the Log. Now obviously the Log could not talk, but the Log was able to demonstrate how he was created. He ended up rolling over to the spell factory, pointing towards a rage spell, and then he ended up knocking it on the floor and rolling over it a few times. The builder took this as a hint and figured that this was how he was created, where a log was chopped over and it rolled into some rage spell. And so with this, the builder had an idea. He had seen the log in the Clash Royale arenas, and he really wanted to take that insane power where it just rolls over absolutely everything and destroys things without a second thought. He wanted to take that back into the Clash of Clans village. And so with this newfound knowledge, he ended up working all the way through Clashmas on a brand new project. He ended up creating a machine that ends up chopping down wood all at the same time, mixing it with rage spells, and then spitting it out of the giant machine. Now the log wasn't as mad about this because the builder was able to explain to the log that this wasn't bad because he wasn't actually killing all of these trees, and instead he was just bringing them to life just like he was brought to life. And so the log didn't have a problem with this, and he ended up giving the builder his full support. And so with this new machine, sometime around Clashmas time, the builder ended up releasing his brand new machine called the log launcher, which, as I said, it mixes rage spell with chopped down trees and spits them out the front and turns them into the magical log that ends up rolling through the base, targeting the town hall, and destroys absolutely everything in its way. The new siege machine was absolutely a wrecking ball and would destroy bases, and the Clash of Clans chief thought that this was the best Christmas present or Clashmas present that he has ever received in his life. And anyways, other than the log launcher, the feud between the Lumberjack and the log continued on as always, where the log and the Lumberjack came back in touch once the next Clash Royale season started, where they continued to wreak absolute havoc inside of the Clash Royale arenas, where the log would sometimes get the better of the Lumberjack, and sometimes the Lumberjack would kind of dodge the log or just not be affected too much by it. But their feud did continue on forever and ever, and the Clash Royale Kings had to be very careful not to let the log or the Lumberjack leave the Clash Royale arenas at the same time, otherwise he knew what was going to happen. And so he was very careful about this and made sure that always one of them was staying at the Clash Royale arenas. But anyways, that there is the story of how the log launcher was brought into the world of Clash, and also the final part to the story of how the Lumberjack and the log were also brought into the world of Clash. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this story. I know it was a bit longer of a series because I wanted to combine the stories of 3 different troops all into the one bigger story where it kind of all flows together and they all build off of each other. Let me know if you guys like that whole format where I break it up into 3 parts for the different troops, or if you guys would prefer just to have a single story for each and every troop and they kind of don't overlap in any way. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm really curious because I personally did like this format because it helps you kind of like visualize the whole Clash universe a bit better and how everything is kind of intertwined. But I'm also open to your guys' suggestions because after all, I want to make the best possible videos for you guys and whatever you guys enjoy the most. But anyways, other than that, I'm going to keep this little outro pretty short. I just wanted to say Happy Christmas or Happy Clashmas to all of you guys, or any other events that you guys are celebrating. I hope you guys have a fantastic holidays. Stay safe out there, and I will talk to you guys all in the next video. Peace out.